Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we discuss week 7 of 2023. Let's get going. Week 7 was much more mild than the previous few weeks. We did get a little bit of rain, which was good, kept us from having to water the gardens or anything. Now, we did get a few nights, I think 3 nights that were below freezing, which shouldn't be a big deal. But one night got all the way down to 25. And because of that, we did have to take all of the plants from the greenhouse into the house. And that's kind of a pain in the rear end at this point. But we'll get to that greenhouse here in a bit. What I'd like to start, though, is to show you what our top garden looks like with the salad greens after the freeze. So as I mentioned, it did get to 25, and I don't know if I'd call that a hard freeze, but it's definitely a freeze, and it has an adverse effect on a lot of plants. One thing I will point out after week 7, all 3 rows of our carrots are up. They're really small right now, but I'm excited. It looks like we will have a large amount of spring carrots. I'll probably bring you folks along whenever the time comes to go through and thin that out, because that was something that took me a little while to learn how to do. But the reason we're in here is, let's take a look at these salad beds. You can see here, see how my row is all off. Beansy got in here when I was planting. So there's a little dip in my radish rows there. That's all right though. But both the Butter Crunch and the Black Seeded Simpson seems to have been doing really well. You'll remember last week after the freeze, this plant right here, that one was doing a little sad. It kind of still is, but it's got a couple new leaves on it. So we're hoping that it pulls through. This is the other bed that had these 2 plants right here. Those also had a rough time during the first freeze when they were outside, but you can see if we get in here, they have bounced back really well, so I'm excited for that. This upcoming week, week 8, is going to be warm. I believe the lows are in the mid 40s and the highs are in the mid to upper 60s. So this lettuce should start taking off at that point. It has gotten really established. You can see you're starting to get some of the nice color on the Black Seeded Simpson. So those over time, these are gonna kind of start perking up and we'll be able to eat on them. Our goal is by March 1st. We were hoping to have some even earlier since we started these at the end of January, but this time of year with the weather we've had, they have not grown very quickly. I'm just happy that they're still alive, right? We'll just take before we go look in the greenhouse. We have started trimming some of our spring onions and they are absolutely delicious. We put them on a bacon cheeseburger salad this week. Loved everything about them. Now this is something, we always talk about successes and failures. These are the first attempt at the mustard greens. They did not do as well as I'd hoped. I was talking to a fella that's grown mustard greens, for years. And he said the problem is I put them in too early. He said mustard greens needed quite a bit more sun, which means longer days. So he told me that these, they're not going to do as well. He said when we put our next one in here at the end of February that they'll be a lot more successful. Of course, we'll let you folks know one way or the other, but we always like to show the stuff that does well, and then, of course, stuff like this that's a little sad. So we did get the pad completed for the greenhouse during week 7. We also attempted to put the greenhouse up, but the thing about this greenhouse is if there's almost any wind at all, you can't do it. So we got out there and we got the base put together. We started to get some of the walls done and the wind started picking up. So we're hoping at the end of the day today to get that completed. So one way or the other, by the time we do our week 8 update, we're gonna have that dadgum greenhouse up. It's turned out to be a bit more of a challenge than what I originally thought, but maybe, the perseverance will pay off and maybe it'll be the best thing we did. It needs to, because right now I'm a bit frustrated with it. So now let's take a look inside the greenhouse. I'm getting pretty excited. My turnip greens here, you can see the beginning of the true leaves coming on. So we're hoping, like I said, by the 1st of March that our greens will be in there. Typical rookie mistake that I made. I left the greenhouse door open while I went inside to grab some more water to water everything, and a chicken got in here. Luckily, it was just one. They flew straight up here on the top shelf and pecked out a couple of my greens. But other than that, everything's going really well. I do need to thin this out a little bit. The onions are coming along fantastic. So what we're going to do with these is these will go in probably at the same time as the greens. I like to let the greens just a little bit taller. These are the beets. This is one of the beets. We have more coming in. The ones that we started 36 more inside, and they'll be coming out to the greenhouse shortly. Over here we have calendulas that Leslie have started for the pollinators. Down here we have turnip greens, a lot more of the pollinators, and that is down here the next round of the butter crunch lettuce that'll go in. The next round of the black seeded Simpson I'm going to direct sow. It's a bit more fragile, it seems. It doesn't like to be transplanted as much, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring that directly into the ground. Let's see what we got here on the other side. These are the mustard greens that I mentioned earlier. The ones in the garden are super sad. These guys are coming along really good. Again, Old Timer was telling me that it was due to us putting them in too early and there just simply wasn't enough sun for them to be healthy. Then of course now we get back here to the pollinators. We have marigolds, and what are in here? Oh, and those are zinnias. And then finish that up down here with the rest of the beets and some clarkias. Again, I'm not sure how these are going to do. Whenever we put these inside, they kind of came up before the other seeds, so they got a little leggy under the grow lights. What we were trying to do is hoping they would all come up at the same time, and what I probably did was procrastinate a little too long. You can see this duo right here is already fallen over. So that's a rookie mistake on my part, so I need to get better at that. But we're hoping that, you know, maybe, I don't know, 2 of the 4 will work out, and if so, we'll call it a win. I want to wrap up week 7 with discussing the indoor greenhouse a little bit. Right now we've got beets in there, we have peas, and we have a whole lot of pollinators. We're probably going to go a little overboard on pollinators this year. I just want to see if it, you know, what kind of effect it has. We've never done that before, so that's something we're going to do this year. I say all of that to say I just don't have any room to start new plants. And next week we start our new plant video. So it's getting crunch time on that greenhouse. So as I mentioned, we got a friend coming over. We're going to get that bad boy put together. We'll talk about it next week, I'm sure. Till next time, I hope all you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.